Hey guys, welcome to Becoming Soulful Couple. We are talking about how to become a very mindful life partner. I'm Vimla Rane, mother of two lovely daughters, wife of a wonderful husband, and a corporate trainer turned relationship coach and title winner of Mrs. Superwoman Bangalore 2019. And I'm on a mission to help all the singles, engaged couples, and newly married to learn the art of mindfulness in their marriage. And we are talking with a lot of my friends and well-wishers who wants to contribute in this mission. And I today have a very, very interesting person on my talk show. And I'm going to introduce to Colonel Aditya Singhal. And to say a few words about Colonel, you can come online. He is Colonel Aditya Singhal. Welcome, Colonel. I'm going to address you as Colonel.
Thank you,
And
Vimalaji. You can address me either as a Karan or Aditya. Both will
okay,
be
no,
okay.
I'm so privileged and I want to address you as Colonel. I feel so proud when I say the word.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Colonel, about Colonel, I'm going to literally read because there's a lot about him. His vision is to explore new frontiers of professional excellence with continuous learning and development. His mission is to coach, mentor, and guide the youth to face and ace the SSB interview for joining the armed forces. He is a veteran from Armed Corps with 33 years of experience in variety of operational training and development equipment management, administrative and HR management, roles in the Armed Forces, National Cadet Corps and Training Establishment. And he has done his MBA from PU MBA University of Pune, PG Diploma in Disaster Management, PG Diploma in Network Administration and Cybersecurity, and he is an ICC certified career coach, ICCC certified career coach, certified career mentor, NLP practitioner, graphology, and signature analyst. And there's a lot more about him. So I invite Colonel to introduce himself to all my audience.
Thank you, Vimalaji. I'm first of all, I am very grateful and thankful to you for giving me a chance to come on your platform and interact with the amazing audience. And I'm looking forward to that. As far as about me, you have already spoken a lot. So now I actually, after I finished my full service in the army, retired in September last year. And because we were all facing this situation caused by the pandemic, we were all confined to our homes. So, and there was a lot of in the army, we generally retired at an early age. So there was a lot of things which I thought I could do to the society and contribute with my experiences which I had gained over the years, both in the while working in the operational roles, and also especially when I was in the National Cadet Corps. I interacted with the young boys and girls going to schools and colleges. So there I found my calling as to it was a fun activity, training them in various fields, motivating them and guiding them to their I would say dreams, how to achieve them. So that is how I decided to become a career mentor and guide for the youth, and also coach them to help them achieve their goals and aspirations by showing them the way. I also there did have become now I have become a life coach, wherein my mission is to empower.
Your voice is breaking, Colonel. Is your network perfect?
1 minute. Uh, just read. I'll also just close my door.
Yeah,
Is
please.
it okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, guys, if you want to have career guidance, and he has an army background and he is interested in training youngsters, youth of India on career goals, and he will also help you to find the ways to join armed forces. Is that right, Colonel? You're also going to guide our youth into how to get into armed forces, correct?
Yeah, I can. Anybody who needs that guidance, I am available to them. I can, educate them about the entire various kind of entries which are there and how to go about preparing for the SSB interview, which is I found where most of the people find it a little bit difficult. So
What is that
that is one thing.
SNP? What is that SNP? SSB, interview for joining armed forces, correct? SSB.
It's SSB interview, Service Selection Board.
I'm sorry. Okay, Service Selection Board. So if people are interested to learning how to appear for the interview, SSB interview, and to join armed forces, and
they can contact me.
Are you running the organization called Face and Ace? Is that the
no? It is Face and Ace is my like tagline. Face and Ace the interview. Okay. I am not running. I'm doing it. I'm doing freelancing.
Okay, so okay, guys. So anybody who's watching the show, if you're interested, or if any of your relatives are interested in joining armed forces, and if you want to learn how to attend the interview and learn the interview skills, you can contact Colonel. So, Colonel, are you going to give me your email ID, or what are the how people can contact you?
I can share my contact details with you, so that you can share with the interviews. If you want, I can do it in the chat box, or otherwise I can share WhatsApp.
I'm going to put it in my description box, so it's going to be always there.
Okay, so then I'll WhatsApp the entire thing, link to all my profiles and everything, so that will be easier for anybody to do that.
Yeah, perfect. So let's get into the show topic. Colonel, we are doing a show on helping unmarried youth singles and newly married and engaged couples on how to have mindfulness in marriage. And most of the marriages are not happy marriages in the modern marriage world. So I want your inputs on how to help these kids in understanding what is marriage and what are the changes that has happened in the culture, and also tell us about your marriage and how do you train how you train your daughter to face the married life. So let's start. You can take the show and start. Talk about your life.
So I would say, as far as when I was of that age, when I was younger, and when I was in college, and when I decided to get married, that time there was nothing. There was no guidance. There was no counseling or as such. So it was like you were learning on your own. Only thing what you used to get was you used to learn some values from your parents and your family. That traditional family values which were important to for a marriage to last longer. And plus, of course, having seen your own in the family, you could initially younger days you did not realize, but as you grew up you saw how so you could make out certain things which we should follow, certain things which you should not we should avoid to have a perfect or near perfect relationship with your spouse. And what I realized was that if I talk about myself, being in the army wives have to, and even us also have to face a different kind of challenges throughout our life, which a normal person does not face. For example, I'll give you a simple thing like today, most of the girls, young girls or the aspiring girls, they are already professionals in their respective fields. They are well established, and so they have a fully, I would say, fully satisfying and established job or profession. And in the previous generation, I would say it was expected that the lady should just look after the house. Her responsibility is to look after the household, look after the children, help them grow up. And the husband is responsible for earning the money and meeting the needs of the family. Whereas today, what I have found is in the present generation, both husband, wife, both are working. some are working even before they got married, some are working even after that, and then there you also have these cases wherein people are working in the same profession, and there they get have find each other common values and they get married to each other. So the thing is that the lady has her own aspirations, her own career goals. The husband is also has his own career goals. So at times it becomes difficult for them to strike a balance between that thing, how to manage your career and how to manage their family. And that is, I think, one of the main reason of conflict which is arising these days.
Yeah.
And the same, whereas I think when you got married and even when I got married, that time things were not that difficult. And also one more thing was the education part. So now every girl is well educated. They are well, they know everything about the world, how everything goes around. They are financially independent. So those things are also come into play. Whereas earlier, the ladies were totally dependent upon their husband once they get married and come to the husband's family. As far as their own parents were saying that now you are part of that family, so you have to go as per their traditions and values and customs, and you have to follow whatever they are saying. And another thing is that more in our society, the system is such that the women and ladies were expected to be more docile and to go about and sacrifice their own dreams and desire for the good of the family. But with the education, with the working atmosphere, environment coming in, and their own aspirations also are there, which are very important. So nobody wants to sacrifice or I would say do those kinds of adjustments wherein you have to keep your career at the second level and look after the family at the first level. That is another reason I find is a reason of conflict. But especially if we talk about the armed forces, in the armed forces, whether it is officers or the men who we are commanding. So especially the men, they are coming from the rural background, and they used to earlier have a support of the what you call that family support, wherein even if they are staying alone in the unit, the families are being looked after by their parents and their relatives and the people who are because it was a joint family system. But as they become nuclear family culture came in, they also found it difficult. Plus, they also want their children to get the best of education. They also want their children to, do well in their career. This is where they face the problem that ladies were not educated because they were coming from villages, from where the education was still not provided to them. So they were finding it very difficult to manage the thing, and at times, it became difficult for them to, overcome these kind of challenges which we are facing now. However, in the armed forces, there's one thing is wherever you're serving, like my unit is like a family. So in my unit, whether I'm an officer or a Jawan, we look after our officers, we also look after our families. Similarly, among the officers also, it is like one big family where the commanding officer is the head of the family, and all the officers or the ladies and children, we are not only interacting at an official level, but we are beyond the official level also as a social level and everything. We are regularly interacting with each other. We are regularly, conducting various activities wherein the ladies are taking part as officers separately and also along with the wives of Jawans. And so, you provide them whatever support which they could not get from their own families from within the thing. So that is how we were able to overcome this problem to quite a large extent.
I want to ask a question here. So what are the special help you offer to those ladies in the army forces? Like,
So
what?
in that, like, we have like, if a young bride gets married to a young officer, comes into the family. So where we have a system, like we have a series, certain laid down customs and traditions which are to be followed by the officers, and which are also, so it is a responsibility the officer concerns to educate his wife as to what is expected her as an army wife in terms of there are certain obligations related to the social obligations, then also related to the looking after the families, guiding the families of the men which we are commanding. So in terms, we used to conduct various activities, we call it family welfare activities, wherein the officers' wives used to interact very closely with the men's wife. And so they used to guide them, conduct vocational training classes. They used to educate them if somebody is like uneducated, they're not very educated, so help them at least this, so that they can write and read, and they can also, look after their children. Because most of the time, especially in the armed forces, and more so in the army as such, we have to stay away from our families for long durations of time, or because of various reasons, whether it's because of training commitment, whether due to operational requirements. So the men are there, not there present, but the ladies are there who are looking after each other. The commanding officer's wife is the main lady, and so she is looking after the officer's wife, helping them, interacting them. So we have a kind of a bonding. Like it's like you can say it's like a one big joint family, wherein we are encouraging and helping each other, because you're not you're away from your main family, which is your parents and your relatives. So that is the system which was being followed in the armed forces. However, there again, there's a lot of change which has come in, because earlier there were no other obligations on the ladies, in terms of they were not working, and they did not have any professional career as such. But now more and more ladies who are coming in, they are already established in their careers. So there are certain cultural and social changes coming into the armed forces also. Because what we were following to 10 or 15 years or 20 years back, the same thing cannot be followed now. So we have been evolving and changing according to the times.
I have one question here, Colonel. So you give a special training for army officers' wife. Anybody who's coming into army, their wives are trained in special skills. Because
so it is not exactly training. It is not exactly training. I can say it is more of a guidance. Like we have certain certain late what you can say unwritten traditions and cultures of the unit, which are in terms of, for example, if you are having a social interaction, how to conduct yourself, how to interact with each other, with the other officers, with your senior officers.
What is the objective of doing it? What is the objective behind training those ladies on that?
So it is basically grooming them so that they can be a big support for their husbands. Because as it is, the husbands are working they are on duty 24 hours in a day and 48 hours in a week. So at times, even if I am at home and spending my time with my family, if there a call comes for me for anything, I have to immediately leave and go there. So they are mentally trained to, they're mentally accustomed to how to deal with these kind of things. Because half the time what happens is they have to manage everything on their own. The husband is not there. If some emergency comes in, then what will I do? If suppose my child gets injured, then what do you do? So that is how they tell them, groom them.
I want to interrupt here with your permission. Do you think these kind of trainings are required for any woman, not only in the army forces? Do you think this kind of skills are required for any woman? For example, if I have my daughter, do I have to train my daughter in handling any emergencies, any crisis intervention? Do you think so?
Yeah, I think it is required in terms of so that they are more aware, firstly, what kind of situation they may encounter in life. Half of the time, I think you also being a parent, we already give certain kind of guidance and education to our children, but there's certain things which are unexpected, which may come in seeing the current culture and atmosphere which is there in our country and everywhere around the world. So we do need to educate them not only to face the challenges, but also in addition to that, it is not only the girls, it is the boys also who need to be trained. Right now, what I realize is most of the time the focus is on in the family also. If you see, you keep on telling your daughter what to do and what not to do. There are a lot of restriction on your daughter, whereas when it comes to boys, it is accepted. Okay, ठीक है, वो तो लड़का है, he can do anything. It is accepted. It is taken as a thing. At times, what happens, even certain behaviors which are incorrect in terms of talking to your girl, how to behave in front of a lady, how to give respect, and not only as a lady or a gentleman, but also as an individual. Those things are in our society or in our system, we do not provide that kind of a training to our boys, but we keep on giving restrictions to our girls. Ki, this you have to do, this you do not have to. Most of regulations are targeted towards a girl rather than targeting towards the boys also. That is why we also
what kind of training the boys are supposed to learn before getting married? We'll focus
I think first thing,
the marriage aspect. Yeah.
So first thing, if it's say, first thing is you have to learn to respect your partner as an individual, and you have to give the same kind of importance if your partner is working, and so our job is also equally important as your own job is. So then that is where you both have to adjust to each other's requirement. Right now, what is happening, especially in our society, it is the girl who is expected to always adjust. She is expected to leave her job, or she has to take on a lower job because she has to look after her children. She has to look after the household. So of course, there are certain things in which only you as a lady can do, which a man cannot do. But there are other things wherein man can also contribute immensely. And once you take on that load of your wife's or your partner's head, the things will be much more better or easier for both of them.
So why it is becoming difficult for men to understand this? Where is a change has to happen? Is this the cultural drawback?
I think, Vimla, I think it is that it starts from the ourselves. Like as parents, I would say if I have a son and a daughter, I have to treat them equally. If you must have realized, like you had mentioned, you have two daughters, so you have given them more independence. You train, you have encouraged them to do what you want to do in your life. Similarly, I have a son and a daughter, so I always encourage the same amount of encouragement to my daughter as I would give it to my son. So there was no restriction. Ki, no, you are a girl, so you will only do this much, and your son, so he can do anything. So I think it starts right from our home, from the parents especially, because we are the founding. Most of the things our children learn from us. So if we right from the beginning, if we start inculcating those kind of values, yes, you both are entitled to your own aspirations. You're entitled to make a career for yourself, and when it comes to selecting a partner, it should be more. It is you should be able to adjust to each other's requirement, and you should be more accommodated, whether it is a boy or girl, both. Right now, what is happening is boys are not being told to be accommodated. They are not being told to. They say, okay, you are the. So that mindset, I feel, is the thing which we need to change, especially among the men.
So, Colonel, here one question for me is when we ask the boys to respect the girls, usually that is very well happening in the parent home. A boy has to respect his sister. It's easily happening. Sister brother relationship, even after they grow up, even after they get married, they are still able to respect their sisters. But when it comes to wife, that is not being practiced. So what is that? I'm still not able to understand what is missing there. Why?
Vimla, what I feel, it is my personal view, is that even if you see where families wherein you have both a daughter and a son, so the kind of openness or the freedom you give to your daughter, you do not give the same kind of freedom to your daughter-in-law. I think there's always a difference in the family when it comes to treating. If you start treating your daughter-in-law as your daughter, give her the same amount of respect, give her the same amount of freedom not only in terms of what she wants to do, but accept her views, accept her as an individual, make her feel the part of, give her the importance in terms of being as a part of family for anything. I think that would be that would help them. And one more thing is which is coming which is getting very prominence in the present environment, is the gender sensitization, which is not there. It is not there in our value system when it comes to our families, and also it is not there in the school system also, education system also. You do have moral science as a subject in the school. You teach them ethics and morals and values, but you do not actually implement them. You do not actually practice them. So along with that, there is a requirement of starting this as a compulsory, that education has to start right from the beginning, from the school level. Because even if you have children who are studying in co-educational schools, there's a difference how there are different kinds of rules or regulations for boys and girls. Certain things which are accepted from boys are not accepted if the same thing is done by a girl. That is, I think you would agree that this is one major lacuna in our education system also. So maybe the entire thing has to start from the beginning.
Is it because they think that girls have to focus on their safety? So I still remember my daughter asking when she was around fifth standard or something. I was telling her, you should not go after 6 o'clock outside. Once it gets dark, you should not go out. I was telling, and she was asking why, ma. So I said, boys will harm you, so you should not go out. And then she said, then they must be locked up. Why are we locked up? She was a very kid. She was so innocently asking that. When somebody is harming us, they are the people supposed to be inside the house, not the people who get harmed. So that I still remember so probably the schools are treating the girls like that from safety aspect. So what is your take on that?
So I said, okay, fine. You do educate the girls about the safety aspect, but you have to educate the boys also to be more sensitive about the girls in terms of what is acceptable behavior, or what is acceptable civilized behavior when it is talking to whether it is a sibling or even a friend or a colleague at work or even your partner, I would say. That is where that are what we call that patriarchal system which is there. That is one of the major cause of this entire thing. And if you see in the southern states, there the mother has more power than the father, whereas the rest of the country it is the other way around. So I think that mindset has to be, instead of making power thing, you have to have equal power to both of them.
Mm-hmm. So
whether it is to finances, whether it is your decision making, whether it is to how to treat each other, that we talk about equality, but we do not practice equality. Everybody talks about it, but when it comes to yourself, then things change. I would say most of us are actually being hypocritical toward this particular aspect.
Why is that? Why?
Because see, the rule which applies to my daughter is different. The rule which applies to my son is different. The rule which applies to my son's wife is different. Most of the families have this thing. So what I will permit my daughter to do, I will not permit my daughter-in-law to do. Even though on the face of it, I say that she is my daughter, she's like my daughter. This is what is happening in most of the families.
Yeah. I
And,
can relate.
and you must have seen certain other families also wherein they give more more value to the your daughter-in-law, that you do not make her feel at all that she is an outsider. So it is again, but that percentage is very less. That is, I feel.
Yeah, true. I could relate very well to this example of how a daughter is treated, and what is the rules for daughters, what are the rules for daughter-in-laws. It's totally different.
Yeah.
I could completely relate with this. And
So that is why I said that use that word being hypocritical.
Yeah. Yeah, I can very well relate to this. I'm just reminded about a few things. Like whenever there is Diwali, the daughter-in-law has to be in the mother-in-law's house, whereas the daughter can be in the mother's house.
Absolutely.
Any festival happens, the daughter-in-law is supposed to be in the mother-in-law's house, whereas the daughter, along with the son-in-law, can come to the mother's house and enjoy the festival together. So yeah, I can relate with this. So I want to get back to one last question. In this mobile era, when there is everything is accessible in this Google, uh, the guys who are going to get married, how they can uh, 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 especially the boys and the girls also, how can they understand the limit to which they watch certain a few things in the internet. Because I'm, as a counselor, after I said myself that I'm a marriage coach, I am receiving a lot of cases of people coming and saying they have intimacy issues. So I'm getting a lot of married people coming to me saying that they're not able to have intimacy with their wife. And if I probe, if I do the probing part, they say, especially I get a lot of men coming to me, and they say that they're not happy with their sexual life and their married life. And if we probe even further, they watch a lot of porn and then they come into marriage. So they are expecting whatever's happening, whatever they are seeing there, they are expecting that in a marriage. So what is your call on this, Colonel?
So I think that attitude is totally wrong and incorrect. Like if you see so many, you see most of the romantic movies, what is happening in the movie on the screen is not real life. Similarly, what you are watching on in terms of porn or whatever, that is just a fantasy which you're doing, but that doesn't mean it will become a reality. That is the so. It is again a question of mindset. It is again a question of mindset which needs to be changed. And you must, since you are a marriage counselor, you must be coming across same kind of problem being faced by the girls also. If a man is expecting to be his wife to be like a Miss Universe, so the girl also expect her husband to be like Mr. Universe. But reality is something different. So the moment you start comparing your partner as what you're seeing on the screen, whether it is on the movie screen or the other sites which people have access because of the electronic media, and there is no check. You can, anybody having a smartphone or a laptop or any other device can watch whatever, whether it is a girl or a boy. It actually doesn't make difference. But the thing is, they have to still remember that what you are watching on that platform is acting. It is not the reality. And so you can expect the same thing from your partner, whether it is a girl or a boy.
So being being from
I think we are living in what at times we used to say there's a thing called fantasy. So fantasy cannot certain things in fantasy cannot be converted into real life.
Yeah, I agree. I want to
We have
ask
to
you,
draw a line.
I want to take one tool from you or a tip from you, since you are from army background. This understanding that the fantasy world is not in my reality, it will not be happening in my reality is there. And they understand because they're all very intelligent. They understand, they
Yeah,
know that, and still they go and watch. So because you're from
yeah.
an army background, how do you help people to handle the mindset to understand this is not going to help me? I will stop watching all these and I will stop expecting all these in real life.
See, what I feel is ki if you tell a person to not to do certain things, they will it will not be effective. Rather than telling them what not to do, we should tell them what to do. In fact, recently I was watching a video talk by a very famous speaker called, I think, Simon Sinek.
Famous in it.
He's a
Why?
very motivator.
Why?
So he was talking about the same thing. He said, we say ki don't do that. Don't pick up the phone. Don't watch television. Instead of that, you tell them what to do. The moment he said ki your mind, anything you tell mind not to do, will your mind will definitely do that. So instead of that, instead of telling him what not to do, we should tell them what to do. If we focus on that, what to do, maybe that may make a difference in the person's mind. Because the thing is, watching anything on TV or media is okay. Like we are all human beings, but the thing is, we have to see and think. Is it really fruitful to expect the same thing in real life? Like if I am watching Amitabh Bachchan fighting and handling hundreds of gundas, or like we see Rajnikant movies, he is a superhero. So, but in the real life, neither of them are a superhero. So that is just a entertainment. So we have to draw a line between that, and so I think if as a like say, as a counselor or as a guide or as a mentor, if we tell them what is the right thing to do, okay, it is necessary that they should be aware what are the things which should not be done. But if we focus on what to do, maybe that may help in changing the mindset.
Perfect. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you so much, Colonel. So valid points. I was so comfortable talking to you on these extreme topics because one is because of the army background, another one is because we are senior enough to discuss about this. Because when I say marriage, these topics are inevitable, and most of the youngsters, unmarried people, are not guided on this. They are not getting the education on this topic in our country. It is still a taboo to talk about it, and it is they don't learn it anywhere. So I was so comfortable asking, and you are so comfortably giving me the answer as well. Thank you so much. So, do you have
Thank you, Vimla.
one message for my audience who are newly married or engaged couples or yet to be married? What is the mindfulness they need to follow in a marriage? Just one quick.
So I would say, Vimla, that we have to respect each other as an individual. We have to respect each other's aspiration. And one more thing is ki the moment if we take on each other's load in terms of if the wife has an important meeting. So that time, if the husband looks after the kitchen, I can give my personal example. After I retired, my wife is an educator, so her schools did not stop. She had to continue classes, and right now that there's a tremendous amount of pressure on the teachers and those who are in this field of education because of online classes. There pressure from the parent, pressure from the school, pressure from a simple thing like if I am looking after the kitchen.
Mhm.
In my case, I love to cook, so I'm looking after the entire kitchen. I said now I'll become a house husband. I've done my one part of journey, so it's okay. You do go ahead with your career. So that is one small example how people can be more mindful about each other's
Your wife is so
requirements.
lucky. Your wife is so lucky, Colonel. You are so understanding husband, and you must be a very nice father as well, role model for the kids as well as how to treat your wife. Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, thank you so much. So thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for the inputs. Thank you for the guidance, and thank you for the time you are giving me in spite of your busy schedule. And that's a lovely cat. What's the name of the cat, Colonel?
She is Billu.
Wow, Villu. Okay. Wow. Okay, so that's it. So if people have to contact you, I'm going to share your link in the description box. And he's one of my favorite person. I have come to know about him very recently, but within a span of a month's time, I became very close to Colonel. And Colonel is one of my important person in my journey of uh, mindful marriage, uh, training people on mindful marriage. So, Colonel, thank you so much. I'm
Thank you very much,
so
Vimla.
honored, and there are so many people who will hardly give their time for a new person who got introduced to you, but you are so humble enough to accept the invitation. And I don't know how to thank you. So, thank you so much, Colonel.
Thank you very much,
And
Vimla. Thank you for giving me a chance to interact with you.
oh,
And
it's my
it was actually a topic which was educative and something new for me also to think about and ponder about things. So that way it was very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Colonel. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Yeah. So, guys, I think you enjoyed this interaction with Colonel Aditya Singhal, and if you really want to contact him, he's one of a gem of a person, and very very sweet, very humble, very approachable, and he will be ready to help you at any time. And he's very humane, and I find him. I find him an authentic person. I would like to interact with people like him. I would like to be in touch with people like him. And the topic I have chosen is a very risky topic, a very difficult topic. And I'm going to discuss a lot of sensitive issues like uh, watching porn before marriage and then expecting your wife to do the same, watching movies and expecting a husband like movie actors. All these are the new kind of problems emerging in this modern marriage. So uh, keep watching my channel for all these topics, and I hope we are all mature audience to take this in a very positive spirit. Yeah, this is an education channel, so make sure that you understand the concept. So please subscribe, like, and share. I'll meet you again in the next interview. Please tune in and uh, click on the bell button so you will not miss out on any of the videos. Thank you. Bye-bye.